welcome to the channel. My name is Georgia and today I'm going to be watching Season 3 Episode 2 of Young Royals. If you want access to my uncut reactions, the link to the Patreon page will be in the description below. In the first episode we opened with Villa, the Queen and Simon and his mother and some lawyers and August, of course, sitting down to discuss an agreement about how August should be punished regarding the video that he'd spread around of them in a compromising position. They ended up agreeing on August paying compensation for the damages he'd caused and trying to keep his name out of the press, so therefore not revealing that he was the one that leaked the video. Simon's mother wasn't very happy with this arrangement, but Simon said that he was tired of fighting and arguing over it and he just wanted to live his life basically. But Villa and Simon are in a very good place. They are together happily, freely, publicly for the first time ever, and Villa seems the happiest he's ever been, but it seems to be more of a struggle for Simon because he's more in the public eye. He's got press turning up at his house. The press are also hounding the other Hilarska students as well. They're trying to get the hot goss from anyone and everyone. And Hilarska has been put under fire as well. There's now an investigation surrounding some of the hazy activities they've done in the past. And therefore they've got a new acting principal, because I was questioning why the other principal wasn't there, but I realise now it's because she's probably been suspended because the school is under investigation due to what was happening under her rule, so to speak, under her leadership. So they've got this new acting principal who's stepping in to making some changes to try and better Hilarska's reputation, otherwise the school will be shut down. And in doing so, they now have a curfew, they aren't allowed their phones all of the time, the extracurricular activities have been suspended, which was what a lot of the third years were talking about. They were so excited for some of the things they were going to be doing, but now they won't be able to do them. So I think that Villa and Simon are going to get a lot of hate thrown their way by the other students because they're going to blame it all on them, which is not how it should be, but it's how it's going to be. I think the rules that they're imposing are very harsh, but I do think that the activities warrant an investigation because the hazing that they mentioned sounds awful. And I even thought, like, in the first episode of the series when Villa was undergoing hazing, I thought this is so ridiculous, I don't know why this is even a thing. But what he went through wasn't even as bad as the stuff that they'd mentioned other people going through. Cute photo.
Saknar dig. Vad hade inte gjort om jag var där?
Why is he whispering like that?
Dra fingrarna genom ditt hår. Jag skulle kysst ditt födelsemärke.
Oh, now that's intimate.
På ditt nyckelben.
Wow, I didn't even know that.
Kronprinsen, klockan är 19, mobiltimmen är slut.
It's only an hour? Okay, I didn't know that.
Svar.
An hour?
Simon, jag måste gå. Nej. Men vi ses på måndag. Puss.
They allowed laptops and stuff? Could they video call on Messenger? Oh, but schools can put a ban on websites with their Wi-Fi, can't they? Simon's toxic. How can they possibly know that? They know nothing about him. Ugh, I hate people. Oh, that's bound to get him down. I really hope he talks to Villa about it. Did I see someone say the prince should have kept his mouth shut? Fuck off, Vinny_hot.
Stäng av då.
Hela vår student är förstörd. Är det på riktigt någon här inne som har blivit mobbad? Slagen? Fått spö?
Men det här är ju en uppenbar...
There clearly are some people because they spoke out about it.
Vi hade verkligen inte en porrfilm på vår invigning.
Oh, what was that look? Did they experience that? Because my big question is, did they, these third years, are they the people that initiated this on people, or are they the people that went through it? It's got to be in there for a reason. We're going to have someone that went through it. And August and Niels. Oh, I never remember who's Vincent and who's Niels. I think this guy on the screen is Vincent. I think the other guy is Niels. They gave each other a look. And I think they might have been the ones that went through it. August and Niels. But then if they went through it and they're in the same year as the others, I would have thought they'd all go through the same thing. But then I've never experienced hazing, so I don't know.
Vi måste alltså offra vår student för att Ville var tvungen att berätta för hela världen att han huckar med någon jävla snubbe.
Fan, skärp dig, Vincent. Om inte vi vill förstöra allt som vi har byggt upp här på Hillerska så borde vi starta skolan.
They really need to redirect the blame here. The blame doesn't sit with Villa. It sits with the people that did that in the first place.
Hur mår hon?
I really wonder what's wrong with her.
Hon har migrän, sömnsvårigheter. Läkarna har tagit alla tänkbara tester på henne. Så nu får vi bara vänta och se vad de säger. Men du förstår väl hovets oro? Om de här historierna visar sig stämma, då ser det inte bra ut ifall vi låter dig vara kvar här. Det ser inte bra ut annars.
Okej, så planen är alltså att inte göra någonting förrän det ser illa ut att inte göra någonting.
If you care about the well-being, it's all about how it looks to the public. What? He's just existing. Hello?
Tänk om de stänger skolan på grund av mig.
It's
Men
not
du har
because
ju
of you.
bara försökt göra något bra.
It can only be a good thing that people are finally speaking up when they couldn't before.
Om jag går i skola inne i stan så kommer vi typ aldrig kunna träffas. Så vi träffas ju ändå inte nu utanför skoltid. Så det är ju samma sak. Varför går du kvar där? Du borde göra en extra aktivitet som du faktiskt gillar.
Isn't that always the question with Villa? Why can't you just do something you want?
Skulle du säga att du trivs här på Hillerska?
Ja, självklart. Det är lugnt, tryggt. Ja, bra helt enkelt.
Och då har de skickat en lista på elever som de vill intervjua. Och du är en av dem.
Ja.
De kommer ställa den typen av frågor som jag precis ställde. Och du svarade ju jättefint. Här har vi mångfald på alla sätt.
She's doing so well until that comment. Why?
Så, det blir övernattning, grillning och har någon en
Well, that sounds like
ta
fun.
gärna med den.
And it will be an opportunity for them to spend some time together.
Kom igen!
Tror du vi får sova ihop?
It's so strange to see them like this in public. But I love it.
Om du inte vill tillbaks till den där skolan. Men då måste du kanske börja tänka lite på vad du ska göra istället. Skaffa ett jobb. Jobba med att ta hand om de hästarna som far illa i så fall. Och då är ju körkortet första bra steg. Och innan du startar och kör iväg bilen så måste du...
Trycka ner kopplingen och bromsen. För att sen växla till ettan.
How does she know this? I don't drive. I have no clue about any of that. Is she joining the choir?
Vi har fått in en ny körmedlem.
Oh my god.
Välkommen!
The desperation to spend time together is real when Villa has joined the freaking choir.
Har du verkligen slutat på roten? Jag visste inte att du gillar att sjunga. Nej, jag gillar inte att sjunga.
He likes you.
Jag gillar att lyssna på när du sjunger.
Oh, that's a better answer. I love that. I feel so represented by Maddie knitting.
Ja, kom in.
August has a laptop.
Tja. Invigningsgrejen.
Jävla länge sedan jag tänkte på den. Så det...
Ja, jag kan inte snacka med Vincent om den kvällen. Han säger bara att det var ett skämt.
Det var ett skämt. Jag gjorde inte samma sak mot våra ätter.
Ja, jo. Det var ju bra.
Is that one thing August has done right in his life? Not inflicting that pain onto other people? Oh, is he having panic attacks now too?
Jag kommer max för 30 minuter.
Träna får du göra innan utegångsförbudet eller på schemalagd träningstid.
Exercise does seem to be his outlet, doesn't it? We've seen it a few times. He works out really hard to the point of exhaustion. What is that? That looks like an old telephone. Oh. Oh my god, he memorized her number?
Hallå?
Oh my god, he has tears in his eyes. He really likes her. I hope she doesn't get back with him though, because if she wants to get back in her brother's good books, or anyone's good books, you know, Felice, she needs to not get back with him. What are you doing? I swear part of your agreement is to stay away from them.
Hur mår Sara?
Oh my
Jag ska inte störa dig, bara
god, he's
att
so
hon mår
desperate.
bra.
Hon kommer inte till skolan, hon har inga vänner kvar. Hon har inte ens sin familj kvar. Allt är ditt fel.
Is that his fault though? I think that Sarah made her own decisions when it came to August.
Jag jobbar inte för dig. Du är inte kung än.
Oh no, they're supposed to be avoiding scandals.
Det var ett skämt.
Ja, precis. Det var skojbråk. Bara.
Ni skojbråkar.
You're not cats.
Och därför så har vi bestämt tillsammans att ni två ska gå i, ja vad ska jag kalla det, medlarsamtal.
Together?
Här,
Oh,
hos
for
mig.
God's sake.
Relation bara två med Erik.
Nej, inte han. Han kände inte Erik.
Att du gjorde det.
Vad sa du?
Som att du gjorde det.
What does that mean? Oh. It's so fucked up that people have his address.
Jag kan vara din revolution.
Not the revolution. Oh my god, the most iconic song choice ever.
För en revolution om det inte finns något annat.
Yeah, positive. He's getting so many comments so quickly though. They don't approve. They said there's a message for the Crown Prince and gave him his phone. Does that mean they're checking their messages and stuff as well? That's a major invasion of privacy.
Den är jättefin. Men jag vill bara inte att du ska få massa skit för det. Nej, inte jag heller. Men jag får ju lägga ut vad jag vill. Eller?
I don't know if he can now that he's dating a royal.
Får tolka den hur de vill. Men jag tycker inte det är fel att stå upp för oss.
Allt du gör nu representerar mig och kungahuset. Och det suger, jag vet det. Men jag vill bara att vi ska kunna ha ett privatliv.
I really think it should be up to the palace to provide some kind of media training for Simon. I would have thought that would be the first port of call when someone starts dating a royal in public. They have to undergo so much training, particularly media training, and how they should look in the public eye. I thought they had to go through this whole course so that they're aware how they are supposed to act. And it seems like it's all falling on Willa to tell him how it's supposed to be. But then that just sounds like it's him giving orders to him, which isn't going to be a great thing for their relationship. If they're the ones putting so much pressure on Villa to teach him to act a certain way, why don't they have someone who's professionally trained in giving some kind of training for them if they want Simon to act a certain way? He's a teenager. He's going to post what he feels. Social media has become a big outlet for particularly teenagers and young people of this day and age. There are a lot of people that are chronically online and post whatever they're thinking and feeling at the time, and if they don't want him to do that, it should be up to them to liaise with him and provide some kind of training for him. I feel like an easy solution is that he could just make his social media private, but what he wants is to hit back at the bad comments because he sees the bad comments, but then maybe he would get less if he made his account private. But I think he's the kind of person that would still go looking for any negative comments about him. They blatantly are getting to him though, the negative things people are saying. I'm sure Villa just ignores them because he's grown up with this life. He's grown up with having people having an opinion on him all the time, so he's able to just bypass it and he's learned not to look at them. But because it's all new and fresh for Simon, he's seeking them out and paying attention to them all the time, and even hearing people talking about him on the bus or the train, whatever transport he was on. He hears this and it gets to him as someone so freshly experiencing these negative comments. He wants to hit back at them through the medium he knows best, singing and writing that song, and he wants to be able to share it with the world. But all the palace cares about is image, and they disagree with that kind of thing. But if they haven't provided him with any kind of instructions, how is he supposed to know what he's allowed and not allowed to post? And why does the blame all sit with Villa yet again for not showing him how he's supposed to behave when that shouldn't be his job?
Och jag bröt kontakten med min egna pappa för att hon hatade honom.
Because she hated him.
Och nu bor hon hos vår pappa.
What?
Du har fått något brev från Hillerska om att du förlorar din plats om du inte kommer tillbaks nästa vecka. Så vill mamma att du flyttar hem igen.
Okej. Då vet jag. Husmor säger ju alltid till mig att sätta på håret när jag har glömt. Men aldrig er.
Really?
Jag menar bara att det är inte alltid jättelätt att vara den enda svarta tjejen med lockigt hår i vår klass.
Dead silence.
Vad har ni för sommarplaner?
Inte så mycket. Jag ska väl chilla med Simme i Bjärsta, va?
Nice. Du då, Roche?
Ja, jag ska vara så här sommarledare på ett fotbollskollo.
Vi ska faktiskt till New York.
And where's that? What a different.
Jag ska också sommarjobba. Som ni.
Ja, kul.
Eller jag ska gå en kurs. En utbildning. Hela sommaren genom hovet. Det kommer nog också bli så intensivt liksom.
This is so awkward.
Stopp, jag vill inte att du filmar.
Vadå filma kronprins? Vad fan snackar du om?
Det där man kan räcka upp i röven, skulle jag säga. Eller hur?
Tack, hej.
Vad fint att ni kom förbi.
Kom, vi drar. Sorry.
Till och med fucking elite.
Oh god, this is so cringe. I hate it. I hate awkwardness. It felt like Wilhelm was really trying his best to like relate to them there. Like, hey, I'm working too. But it's not the same. That's something that's been forced upon him. They probably have to go to work because they need the money. They need experience to provide them further opportunities in life, whereas he has stuff kind of handed to him. Like, they're in very different positions in life, aren't they? And I feel like Villa trying to say, oh, I have to attend the course, so I'm working too. It's not quite the same, so that created a very awkward environment because no one really knew what to say to that because it's just not the same thing at all. And then the bodyguards taking people's phone off them because they're like, you can't take pictures of the crown prince. It's like everyone's lives have to revolve around Villa, which isn't his fault. That's just because of his status. Yeah, he doesn't have to work to put food on the table and stuff, but he does have negatives that come with his title as well. People are going to start to feel resentment towards him because their lives are being affected by his title now. The school's on the brink of closing down and they have limited phone time, and then their phones have to be checked to make sure they're not taking pictures of him. Everyone's going to be mad at him for it, even though it's not necessarily his fault. But it's frustrating that everyone's lives seem to be affected by his life, and it's not fair.
Okej, det kanske var lite stelt, men nästa gång så...
Ville, du kan inte bara säga att du också ska sommarjobba. Du ska på prinsskola, det är inte samma sak.
Skillnaden är att jag inte har fått välja som Roche har.
Ville, vi måste jobba för att ha råd med saker.
That's exactly what I just said.
Allt gratis, ni får kläder, ni får resor, du får vad du vill. Du kan inte prata om att välja och...
What was that? Don't shush him.
Vi bråkar.
You are fighting.
Kan vi inte umgås? Bara för att vissa får kläder av sina föräldrar och andra inte. Är det du menar?
Ni fattar inte hur privilegierade ni är ibland.
Sure. Neither of them handled that in the best way though. But they're 16 at the end of the day.
Jag ringer bara för att säga att mamma kommer bli sjukskriven. Hon är i dålig form. Det här året efter Erik och allt som har hänt efter det.
Är det mitt fel?
Is it like grief-stricken sickness?
Och sjukskriva sig.
Vi vet inte än. Vi får bara hoppas att det börjar gå åt rätt håll snart. För det här är såklart inget som får komma ut.
Of course.
Och det betyder att du behöver vara stark nu, Wilhelm.
It sounds like the grief is catching up with the Queen and that is why she's having to be on sick leave. I don't think it's something like cancer or, you know, when I say a termed illness, I mean something that has a name for it. Because illness from grief can manifest in lots of different symptoms. We saw her having a panic attack last episode when she was talking about Eric, and she's probably been in a big depression since losing her son. So I imagine that she's got to take time off because she's got mental health issues from her grief. Them saying that Villa has to be ready, I presume that means they mentioned last episode about it being his birthday soon and he will have to take more responsibility when he turns 17. So I don't think he's got to step in the interim of her being on sick leave, but I think they're just saying that he has to be ready even more so for when he turns 17 because he might have to take on more engagements than originally planned with her being on sick leave. But them saying, of course, this can't be made public, that's never going to happen because if we've learned anything, based on the recent news of the British monarchy, these things won't be kept secret for long. I don't know how many of you are from the UK or keep up with the British monarchy and the memes that came out of it, but with Kate Middleton not attending her engagements, there became this whole witch hunt about what was wrong with her, and that pressure led to her having to reveal the fact that she has cancer and is undergoing treatment for it. There are major royalists out there and people that keep up with the monarchy, and there are going to be people that question why they are no longer attending public events, and it's going to come out eventually due to the fact that they're so in the public eye and supported by some people. I think the class differences between Villa and Simon are also going to pose a big difference in their relationship, because Villa has been trained on how to live his life, what to post on social media, what not to, how to deal with the hate comments and things like that. But Simon has had none of that. With the comments really getting to Simon, he should really talk to Villa about it, but he's a 16-year-old boy. Emotions are hard at any age. Of course, the logical explanation is to talk to Villa about his feelings, but that's easier said than done. Opening up to someone about it when Villa doesn't seem to be struggling, it can be hard to open up about things like that and how the comments are affecting him. And Villa's under pressure as well to make sure that Simon acts a certain way on social media, and he's the one having to tell him to take things down because he's scared of how people will react. But really that should be up to someone else to provide media training, someone else to tell Simon how they want him to act. If they're putting pressure on Villa to make him act a certain way, they should have a professional in place to do that for Simon, because this is going to put a major strain on their relationship, with Villa acting like he's his boss, having to tell him to do things all the time. That's not fair on either of them. And then those final 5 minutes as well, Villa finally met Simon's friends and it didn't go down so well. They've never really been on Villa's side, have they? They've always had questions about his motives and Simon being with him, whether it's the right thing, and I don't think that meeting helped their impression of him. He tried to relate to them by saying that he's going to work this summer, but it's absolutely not the same. I am with Simon on that it's not the same thing. They've had to get jobs because they need it to provide money for their family. They don't have a choice because they need the money, and a lot of the time you can't do the things that you're passionate about. You just find any job that you can that will take you on because you so desperately need the money to provide food on the table, to provide for your family, to live off, basically. And Villa said that he doesn't have a choice either, but he's attending a course. He's not working. He's not working because he needs to. He's working because it's an obligation. It's not the same thing. And he is privileged in many ways. But I disagree with someone getting so angry over it and saying that he's so privileged, because his privilege disservices him in a lot of ways, and it's disserviced all of them. Everyone around them, it seems. His high status is affecting everyone. So while his privilege does provide him with a lot, it is a big hindrance to a lot of aspects of his life. So he's not necessarily lucky in a lot of ways, but he is privileged in that regard. And I do think they both find it hard to see things from each other's point of view because they lead such different lives. And it's hard to have a mature conversation when you're 16 years old. This is new for both of them. They're both being thrust into situations they're not used to. They're never going to have the best conversation about it. I just hope that they learn to overcome this together rather than fighting about it constantly. I also thought it was interesting, that comment by Felice saying that the matron tells her to tie her hair up and no one else, and she's stressed about this interview because it feels like it all relies on her shoulders. And the principal also saying we have diversity, so clearly using her as like their diversity card, which we see a lot in school systems. They're always expressing their diversity and stuff like that. That's only for their public image that they're saying that though. But Felice is treated differently to her friends, evidently. I didn't realise this, but I'm glad that she did bring it up to them, even though they just stayed awkwardly silent and didn't really address the situation. It's good to know because that's something I hadn't picked up on, and it is a microaggression which a lot of outsiders don't necessarily notice because we're on the outside of it, but she experiences it, she recognises this and she feels the effect of it. It's not fair, and if she wants to address that in the interview, then she is absolutely right to. I know she feels like it all falls on her shoulder to Laska's reputation, but if Laska isn't treating her the same as everyone else, then she has every right to address it, just as the people that came out about the porno did, just as Villa did about his sexuality. If they don't feel like they're being treated fairly, then they have every right to mention this, regardless of whether the school shuts down or not. It's an injustice and it needs to be mentioned. I'm glad that she felt that she could address that with her friends though, because it can be quite hard, especially to open up to the people closest to you, I feel like. I really hated Villa shushing Simon in that final scene. That reminded me of something that his mum did to him in season 1. I feel like, I can't remember the specific episode, but I remember her shushing him and it being such a despicable way to treat someone. Being shushed is, oh, it's like you're a 4-year-old at school for the first time. It's just so degrading, but I suppose that's how Villa has been taught, you know, that's how he's lived. It's all he knows, being treated like that. But him treating someone like that, I'm not all about that. I do want to know more about Sarah and Simon's father. We learned this episode that Simon, the only reason Simon didn't speak to her was because Sarah hated him. I wasn't aware of that. They might have mentioned it before, but I've forgotten. I didn't realise that, and I really want to know what he did, because Sarah must have felt really alone at home to be able to go to him when she's the one that's kind of instigated him being separated from their family. So I want to know what he did that made her hate him so much, and we'll see whether she goes back to school and comes home. She didn't really give much of a reaction when she was told that she might be kicked out. I think she obviously wants to go back, but she probably feels awkward because it's awkward enough at home with Simon. Facing Felice and August will be a very tumultuous situation for her to go through, but I do think she shouldn't squander her opportunity that she was given and lose her spot in the school, because it was a really big thing for both her and Simon when they were accepted. I'm hoping that Sarah and August won't go back together. He obviously really loves her. He teared up just hearing her voice, which I found really unexpected. I don't know why, because we did see that they got very close in season 2 and they did seem to genuinely like each other, but I just hated them both so much in the actions they were doing. I didn't really focus on how emotional their relationship was. I hope they don't get back together though, because I think if Sarah wants to get back on good terms with Felice and her brother, she needs to just stay away from him. He needs to stay away from all of them as well. I can't believe he approached Villa and Simon this episode. I'm almost certain that the Queen said he had to stay away from them, but he did it because he wanted to ask about Sarah. So he is down bad for her, but I don't want them to get back together. I don't think it's right for Sarah especially. That's it for today guys. Thanks for watching my reaction to season 3 episode 2 of Young Royals. If you want to watch my uncut reactions, the link to the Patreon page will be in the description below. Leave a like if you enjoyed, and I'll see you next time for episode 3. Bye!
Pimples on the cheeks, I bet you taste like